Now the Xbox had some serious flaws to make up for. Not only was the PS4 a more powerful console, but the Xbox was also $100 more expensive. It came bundled with Kinect, which at the end of the day ended up being canceled a few years later. It had a bigger, uglier design, and to top it all off, Microsoft had all kinds of terrible misinformation on whether or not it would actually support used games, whereas Sony had a slightly more elegant plan.
Thanks.
Since that moment though, Microsoft has essentially been playing catch up, and I think that's a good thing for all gamers. So think of some of the things that have changed since the original Xbox One launched. Not only have they seen some major updates to the software, where we've seen 3 full revisions of the entire Xbox interface, they also did a lot to improve the hardware. So not only did they stop bundling Kinect and eventually kill it off altogether, but when they brought out the Xbox One S, the hardware pretty much got rid of all the major problems that I had with the original Xbox One, namely the giant power brick, the ugly VCR styling, and they even added some features like an Ultra HD Blu-ray player. Then came the Xbox One X last year. Not only did this completely blow away not only the original Xbox One, but even the PS4 and PS4 Pro in performance, but for the first time in over 5 years, Microsoft could confidently claim that they had the most powerful console you could buy. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean to say that the PS4 has stood still in that same period of time, but when you look back at the launch Xbox One compared to what we have today, it is clear that Microsoft has done a lot of catching up. That brings us to reason number 2, exclusives. So Sony's early sales lead gave them a massive advantage and a lot of really cool exclusive titles for the actual PlayStation 4. The idea that it was a more powerful console definitely didn't hurt things. But over the last couple years, and especially in 2017, the Xbox team stepped it up. PUBG is one of the most popular games in the entire world right now, and the only way to play it on console is on the Xbox One. Now yes, it's an early access game. Yes, it does not quite match up to the PC as far as features and especially performance. However, the idea that this is a game that you can play on even a $200 Xbox One S is pretty impressive. And as an early access game, it actually has continued to get a lot better over time. The Forza series has also been one of my personal favorites. So I grew up playing Gran Turismo. However, the yearly releases of not only the mainline Forza Motorsport games, but especially the really fun Horizon games, have actually really kept me locked on the Xbox One ever since the beginning. Cuphead definitely took a few years to come out, but the hand-drawn art style, and especially the incredibly tight gameplay, does a good job of making this not only a good Xbox exclusive, but something that really does stand out on the platform. Other games are also on the way this year, including Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, and hopefully we get a glimpse at the next Halo game. Now, of course, the PS4 does have a huge library of exclusives, but there are still plenty of games that are exclusive to the Xbox One that, especially if you've never played it, makes now a great time to pick one up. Reason number 3 is performance. So for the first few years, the Xbox One, while a decent upgrade from the 360, stood no chance at all compared to the PS4 as far as performance goes. It was significantly less powerful, which meant that many games ran at a lower resolution, lower settings, or both. However, all of this changed when the Xbox One X came out late last year. For $500, you're getting the most powerful console you can buy, period. Not even the PS4 Pro comes close. Now sure, the PS4 Pro does do a good job of using checkerboard rendering to upscale images up to 4K, but for the most part, this just does not look as good as the Xbox One X, which will often run games at close to, if not a full 4K resolution. You can see the difference. This makes an interesting change. So while on the base end, the PS4 games typically do look better than standard Xbox One, but if you jump up to the One X and PS4 Pro, usually the One X looks better. And this is especially noticeable when it comes to big multi-platform games. Now this isn't always the case. Sometimes PS4 Pro games can actually look very close to their Xbox One X counterparts, but with more memory and more graphics horsepower, it's really hard to argue that the Xbox One X is not the most powerful console you can buy today. Reason number 4 has to do with price. While in the early days the Xbox One was a lot more expensive, that is just not the case anymore. Take a quick look through Amazon and you'll find that the Nintendo Switch is around $300 still, whereas the PS4 Slim is around $280, but the Xbox One S is available for as low as $220, and there are even some pretty decent game bundles for $230 to $240. Now mind you, the Xbox has a smaller 500GB hard drive compared to 1TB on the PS4, but it is really simple to upgrade your storage later on down the line with a USB-based SSD or hard drive. Now things do change when you jump up to the Pro versions. So the PS4 Pro is still pretty steady at $400, whereas the One X is an additional $100 at $500. The $500 One X looks even better when you compare it to the PC market right now. Now to be fair, gaming PCs have had a hard year considering how expensive memory and graphics cards are, but right now it is just not possible for you to build a more powerful computer than the Xbox One X for less than $500. And that brings us to reason number 5. backwards compatibility. Now, back in the old days, pretty much all consoles would at least be able to play the last generation's games. However, the last few years, in fact the last 10 years or so, very few consoles have done it, with the exception